Hello, this is Dr. Victoria Scerbo speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And we're going to talk today about the astrology and Kabbalah of the month of October 2017. So as we do every month, we're going to figure out the numerology of the month of October. And of course, the month of October is the 10th month. And then we add the 10 of the 2017 universal year. And this brings us to a 20/2. And this 20 vibration, first of all, 2 is about duality. 2 is about seeking balance. And then the 0 is the God force. And so the 20/2 is a very powerful number. And it is associated with the Judgment card. And I'm going to pull in on this card here. Okay. And this is from the Rider-Waite deck. This is one of my favorite cards. I know I say that a lot, but the Judgment card is one of my favorites because the picture kind of speaks 1,000 words here. Here we have I believe it's Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, blowing his horn and waking people up. And we have a woman, a man, and a child here. And other people, I believe, in the background, but they're all coming out of what seems to be coffins. And within those coffins, we can see that they have been in the darkness. And this card is really not necessarily about judgment in that you're wrong and you're bad and such, but it really is about waking us up to the fact that we are more than our physical experience. It wakes us up to the fact that we are spiritual beings as well as earthly beings. And the horn is the wake-up call, and the flag there is a flag which has a red cross, and it's an equal arm cross, and that is a symbol of the heart. And it's through our expression and our experiences within our hearts that wake us up to this. Now, if we go over here, this is from the Tarot of the Spirit. It says, you are about to be resurrected into a new thinking, into a completely new stage. This is a symbol of the awakened soul. And so, this month for us is about awakening. And we've certainly had enough, let's say, alarm clocks go off recently. Okay, if we pull into the Tree of Life here, and we come down here to the bottom of the Tree of Life, between Hod, where Mercury is, there up there on the upper left, and then down and towards the lower right, we have Malkuth, and the path of the 20/2 is the path between Hod and Malkuth. Hod is our conscious mind. Malkuth is our earthly experience and our experience within manifestation. The 20/2 is connected with, this path is connected with the planet Pluto. And the, let's pull out a little. And if we come over here, this is the Hebrew letter associated with this path, and it is Shin. And Shin is the element of fire, or as I have here, the flame of life, the flame of spirit, life force, and the flame or the fire of transformation. If we look at this path in terms of the chakras that are activated by this path, we can see that we have both the solar plexus right here and the root or base chakra activated. The solar plexus deals with our personal will, and the root chakra deals with the material world. And so October becomes an opportunity perhaps where we can impress our personal will upon the planet, and yet it's not really about a power over consideration. Remember, this path is dealing with Pluto. For some it can be power over, I'm not going to lie to you. But the higher spiritual energy of this would allow our divine will to work through personal will to transform the planet. We have a golden opportunity to transform this planet through the process of actually Mercury, visualization and imagination and structuring our mind in such a way to help bring the energy forth onto the planet. So one of the major themes of October is relationship for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a 2-month, and 2 is about relating. 2 is about duality. 2 is about give and take. 2 is a very sensitive number. The other thing is that the sun spends its time in the signs of Libra and Scorpio. Both are relationship-oriented signs. The majority of October is in Libra, and Libra is about the idea. It's an air sign, so it's about the idea of relating. Scorpio, on the other hand, is a water sign, so it's about the emotions around relating, the feeling nature. And for the most part, we are better in this culture when it comes to thinking, and not so good when it comes to feeling and emoting. And part of the reason for that is that we live in a patriarchal culture that doesn't respect or treasure our feeling nature, our feminine side, our yin, our magnetic attraction, and yet it's really pretty much what drives the bus for most people. And so we have to look to see if there is anything going on significant in the month of October around the signs of Libra and Scorpio. And of course, the planet Jupiter in October does shift from Libra, where it's been for about a year, into Scorpio, where it stays for a year. Remember, Jupiter spends around a year in each sign. So let's look at the ingress of Jupiter in Scorpio. So here we have the chart of Jupiter's ingress into Scorpio. This chart is erected for in the United States in Washington, D.C. When you erect a mundane chart, you need, of course, a location. I live in America, and we look to the capital of the country, where the capital city is, and for us it is Washington. So if we look at this chart closer, okay, so this occurs on October 10th. That is 10-10, and remember 2001 is 2017, excuse me, is a 10 year. So this is a 10-10-10, which is a 30 vibration, 30 over 3. Remember, I've said this before, perhaps if you haven't heard me before you might not know this, but when we have a 0 next to a number, that is considered the God force. And so it brings a lot of energy and the force of the divine into the number. And 3 is the number of creativity, it's the number of joy, and it's the number of sacrifice. So all those things become evident through this expression of Jupiter in Scorpio. Now, the actual time is, let's see, we have 9:20 a.m. That would be Eastern Daylight Time in Washington, D.C. Now, there's a lot of writing here, there's a lot of things going on, but if we can see, there's actually a 6-pointed star in this chart, and I'm going to bring you over here because I delineate this 6-pointed star right here. Okay, I have it as the Star of David. And what makes up this star are the nodes of the moon, the sun, Mercury, Uranus, Eris, Saturn, and Lilith. So what is interesting about this is, first of all, we have Eris and Lilith connected to this. Eris is a planet. Lilith is a asteroid. Actually, this might be Black Moon Lilith, so it is a point. It's not an asteroid. But the archetype of Lilith in Sagittarius is it's a feminine archetype. It's an archetype of the forgotten feminine, the forgotten power of the feminine. Lilith was first wife of Adam, who was kicked out of Eden because she would not lay beneath Adam. She believed that they should be equal partners. And so they got rid of her, made her the mother of demons, and they brought Eve, who was much more acquiescent to Adam. It is said that Lilith turned herself into the serpent and sort of tricked Eve into giving Adam the apple. And then we have another apple goddess, and that's Eris over there at the bottom right. It looks like a circle with an arrow pointing down. Eris is in Aries. Eris is the archetype of the goddess of discord. She was the goddess who, because she was not invited to a wedding, took the golden apple of discord, wrote on it or etched into it to the fairest, rolled it into the wedding at the feet of, I believe it was Athena and Hera and Aphrodite. And they requested that Paris, the young man Paris, would decide who would get the apple. And Aphrodite sort of pulled him aside and said, look, if you give me the apple, I'll give you Helen of Troy. And so he's like, yeah, Helen is the most beautiful woman. And so he gave Aphrodite the apple, and they kidnapped Helen of Troy. And Helen, of course, being the face that launched 1,000 ships, began the Trojan War. And so Eris uses people's vanity and their weaknesses against them to create havoc. And so we can see that there is this energy. And then we have Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn is about the structure of our reality. In Sagittarius, it's the structure of our beliefs. What do we believe to be true? Then, of course, we have Uranus, the great awakener. And so we're being awakened to truths about our relationship with the feminine. And we have to remember that Scorpio is a water sign, and water is a feminine sign. And so this expansion of the energy of Scorpio, and with Scorpio we are dealing with our deep psychological underpinnings and our shadow. And there is very probably, Lilith is one of the best examples of shadow, a powerful goddess that was put in the shadows. And from there she created, or so they say, she created demons. And demons are simply, energy that has been separated from light, really. And then we have, so those two, or those four things are trine the North Node in Leo. And so we have the triangle pointing up. Now the triangle pointing down in this case, at least in this picture, is the Sun and Mercury in Libra. How do we communicate? How do we relate to one another? Trine the Moon in Gemini, it is about communicating. And then trine the South Node in Aquarius. South Node in Aquarius is our past traumas. Aquarius is associated with things like PTSD and fragmentation of the mental body through trauma. The ruling planet of Aquarius is Uranus, pulling the rug out from under us, sudden out of nowhere change. And so we have to come to understand that. We have to understand our past actions and our past traumas and how we are re-traumatizing ourselves over and over again. And I really do believe that this has to do with the amount of warfare, especially in this country, in America. And of course, it's not just America, it's just that we happen to have the biggest guns and we're the biggest bully on the block. That we have to really look at that and how to reinvent and recreate a world where that is not the main focus. Okay. And the other thing I want to look at here, there's also a mutable grand square in this chart. Grand squares are, I always see them as doorways of opportunity. And here we have Venus. Here we go. We have Venus and Mars in Virgo, opposite Chiron and Pisces. How are we going to relate in a different way to deal with our wounding? And then we have, of course, Saturn opposite the Moon. And this has to do with our upbringing. The Saturn is father, Moon is mother. You know, how have we been parented? How do we parent our children? How do we do it differently? Mutability is about change, and so it's time to let go of the old and move into something new. And then there is one last thing with this configuration, and we have a finger of God, or a yod. And this yod is Uranus in a sextile to the south node. Remember, Uranus rules the south node. And sextiles are opportunities to communicate, opportunities to understand, opportunities for progressive change. The point of the yod is Venus and Mars. How do we relate? And it's in Virgo. How do we fix the way we relate so that we can live in a world that's more fair? And then, of course, we have Chiron sort of activating this whole configuration over there on the left. And Chiron is in Pisces, the wound of separation from source. And it really is about coming to understand that we are all connected. And that all this fighting and all this craziness is us fighting ourselves. And if we can come to learn to understand and love ourselves, we come to understand and love each other. And Scorpio really is about the ultimate healing. And so this is an opportunity for ultimate healing. Now I'm going to pull out a little bit. Oops, sorry, wrong direction. So as Jupiter moves into Scorpio, oh, that's my shadow, I'm sorry about that. I look to where the planet Pluto is in the chart, and we have it at 17 degrees of Capricorn. And let's look at the, this is the Sabian symbol for that degree. A repressed woman finds a psychological release in nudism. And so this is really about the feminine being freed. And nudism deals with the naked truth and how we need to really look at ourselves, look at our shadow, and move from that point. I mean, we are at a very tenuous time, and it is important that we focus on what it is we want to bring into the world. And I would dare to say what we want to bring into the world is what we don't have now, and that is peace and love and compassion. And that is part of the plan for October. There's a lot of other things going on in October, but I think I'm going to stop here. This is very important stuff. And I think later in the month I'll do a couple more October videos for you. So I hope you found this useful. As I said, I will do a couple more videos for October because it is that important. You know, we are in a new paradigm, or we are, as the old paradigm falls away, the new paradigm is being born and being created, and that's created through a creative imagination and our thoughts. So our feelings and our thoughts have to be on the same page, and they need to be focused on what it is we want to create, not what we want to run away from. So have yourself a great day. Have yourself a great month. I'll see you again this month in October. And until then, ciao.